home Game 7 against Detroit. It's interesting to note some of the numbers Shaquille O'Neal has on his side. After missing the postseason in his rookie year, Shaq's made 12 straight playoff appearances. That's 170 postseason games, resulting in 3 NBA Finals MVPs and 3 NBA championships. And while his road to those rings has only included 3 Game 7 matchups, they were all conference finals, like tonight's against the Pistons, and all of those previous games were victories for the big fella. On June 4th, 1995, Shaq scored 25 points and pulled down 11 boards as the Orlando Magic finished off the Indiana Pacers 105-81 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Perhaps a bit of foreshadowing, the coach of the Pacers at the time was Larry Brown. 5 years to the day, Shaq led the Lakers past Rasheed Wallace and the Portland Trail Blazers in a Western Conference Finals matchup, the big man scoring 18 points and grabbing 9 rebounds. On June 2nd, 2002, Shaq then posted his best Game 7 performance, dropping in 35 points and pulling down 13 rebounds in 51 minutes as the Lakers beat the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento's home floor in overtime, 112-106. With Shaq still bothered by a strained quad and rising superstar Dwayne Wade questionable with sore ribs, the Heat enter tonight's Game 7 with more concern than confidence. The big question is, does the Diesel have enough fuel in his tank to make history repeat itself? And if he does, what exactly does he have to do to get it done against the defending NBA champs? 3 of our NBA experts join us to try and answer. In Dallas, Derek Harper is with us, and here in studio, Toronto's Jalen Rose and ESPN NBA analyst Greg Anthony. Guys, good morning to all of you. And Greg, I'll start with you. Why is Shaq so good in Game 7s?
Because Shaq is so good. I mean, it's that simple. He's still the most dominant player in the game, and although the numbers statistically aren't where they were, his presence still is very impactful out on the floor in terms of making others better and really taking away a lot of what you want to do when it comes to the paint.
Greg, when you look at this Game 7, what does Shaq have to do tonight to improve to 4-0 in the conference finals?
Shaq has to be an MVP. He has to be the most dominant player out there. He has to be what he calls himself, the big Wilt Chamberlain. That's who he needs to be tonight. If he's not that guy, I don't see Miami winning.
Derek, without Dwayne Wade out there, what's the Pistons' strategy to try and contain Shaq?
Well, it's going to be the same, Dana, that it's been throughout this series. I think they're going to allow Ben Wallace to play him one-on-one with a little bit of help from the perimeter guys. But, you know, Ben Wallace has not had his best defensive series against Shaq, but he's been adequate enough, I think, to slow him down. What I think Detroit is going to guard against is doubling him and bringing the other guys into the frame.
Well, you know, there's one thing they did adjust from Larry Brown's standpoint in Game 6. They actually didn't allow Shaq to get that early rhythm. They started to double. They mixed it up a little bit just to take away his rhythm early on. And that was probably the worst first quarter he's had in the entire series. And I think that's going to be critical because as what we've seen, Shaq has gotten progressively worse as the game has gone in terms of impact. So if you don't let him get off to a great start early, that takes some of the confidence away from those other guys because they rely on him setting the tone initially.
You mentioned setting the tone. Jalen, when you look at Shaq, he's got the experience in Game 7s and especially in the postseason versus his Miami team. What should he say to his teammates going into this one?
In the locker room before the game, the big fella should say, give me the ball. We don't know what we're going to get from Dwayne Wade. He's probably not going to be 100%, obviously, and he has to lead the team. Shaq is 3-0 in Game 7s, like we mentioned, and this is the time where they brought him in for, early in the year. In the playoffs, they were talking about guys carrying big fella. He said Wade carried him. He said Alonzo carried him. Now it's time for Shaq to carry those guys.
But Derek, obviously, to get it done, he's going to need some help from some other Miami players. Who's Shaq going to look to get a little help in this Game 7?
You know, when I think about their team and experience and not having experience, I think the one guy that has the experience is Eddie Jones, obviously with the Charlotte Hornets, obviously with the L.A. Lakers. He has the playoff experience. He could be that third guy behind Shaq and Dwayne Wade. So I think tonight a lot of the onus will fall on Eddie Jones to really step up and have a big game, and that might not even be enough.
Derek, who do you think wins it tonight?
I think Detroit wins. Greg and I picked Detroit early in this series. I'm going to stick with them simply because I think Dwayne Wade being hampered, Shaq not really 100%. I don't see them getting past the defending world champions.
Yeah, you know what? I think Detroit's been their best when their backs have been against the wall. And there's no question that they're facing elimination as they were in Game 6 and responded mightily. I think they're going to be able to do the same because, again, Miami not 100% healthy.
Jalen, you got to go back to Detroit. You going to stick with Detroit?
Yeah, that's my hometown. I got to follow suit. I think both teams play their best basketball. I think the defending champions will find a way to get it done on the road. It's going to be
Jalen,
tough,
you don't have
but they're going to find a way to get it done.
I think
you don't
he
have
has
to do that, Jay.
All right, all three picking Detroit. Guys, thanks so much. We appreciate the insight. And for more now on the winner-go-home game, it's 1st and 10 time. Jay, Woody, and Skip.
All right, Dana,
The
thanks.
Detroit Pistons. Obviously, the Pistons, the most recent winner and a potential back-to-back champ, advancing to the finals with last night's win over the Heat. So who's got the edge to put on another ring this year? Cold Pizza.